Hello, and today I'll be talking about the business and strategic management of the Target Corporation. First, we'll get into corporate leadership. So Target CEO is Brian Cornell, the CFO is Michael Fiddelk, and the COO is John Mulligan. Cornell joined in 2014, which was actually just after the major data breach that happened in 2014. So he came when the company needed him most, and he came after already working at 3 CEO positions, so he has so much experience within this area of work and this appointed leadership. He is told to have been worked with some competitors of Target, which gives him insight on how competitors think. And Target has made some statements to where they're saying how lucky they feel that Cornell is with them and he uses the knowledge he has of others to just give insight to Target and help to make the corporation better as a whole. And then Michael Fiddelk joined in 2004, and he actually came in as a financial analyst and has moved up in leadership positions, which is great on Target's part. They really encourage workers to start out and work up in leadership roles. They don't really necessarily strive to look outward for upcoming leadership positions. They tend to want to hire from within their company. And so Michael has worked in multiple leadership positions, and then he worked up to his current role of CFO. And then John Mulligan actually came in 1996 as a financial analyst as well, and has worked up in his leadership position. And then in 2014, he was actually appointed as the interim CEO when they were on the lookout for Brian Cornell, which is now the CEO. But they were so impressed by his leadership abilities and qualities that they appointed him as the COO. And then Target is so organized in their corporate leadership and the way they have appointed authority in which areas and departments they appointed it. They have people appointed in the human resource office, legal office, external involvement office, food, beverage office, marketing, digital, and strategy office. So they're very organized. They like to have someone in the head position in each department to just make things run more smoothly, and then to make reference to each one of those people from the higher above appointed authority positions. So the pestle analysis for Target. So Target has had experience in almost every single one of the categories of economy, social, platform, environment, legal, political matters. But some of the most recent areas that they've been involved in is economically and environmentally, on the social level, and then also in political matters. So the COVID-19 pandemic has involved them in an economic, external involvement, and also in an environmental way, because the COVID virus has affected economically through the environment, to where people are told to stay at their home, to not make very many outings into public settings, and to be in groups of less than 10, and to where that kind of eliminates people's ability to and desire to come in store to purchase things. And it's really made Target have to limit what they're allowing, when they're allowing stuff, and how long they can be open. And overall, this affects them economically because it reduces the amount of people purchasing things. They're having to rely more on their e-commerce platform, and eventually and currently it's taking a toll economically, but there's no actual updated facts because the virus is so recent, to where they'll just have to prepare for the future through the economic loss. And then they've been involved in a social platform recently by their remodeling and updating of all their stores and their e-commerce site, to where they've got a new look. They're modern. People love modern things. They're up on trends, to where that's really an appealing external factor for customers to come in. And then finally, their views on the homosexual community has really taken a toll, and the political factor with them, which it just shows that they are involved in politics and they are promoting just equality, and they're wanting to try and appeal to all crowds. But this is such a controversial topic to where the measures that they took affected their whole consumer base, and most of the people were not all right with their decisions. And I'll talk later on specifically what those effects were. And then the next external factors that affect Target are the bargaining power of buyers, the bargaining power of suppliers, threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, and then the industry rivalry. So Target really does not have a major issue with the bargaining power of buyers because they try to really accommodate to their buyers, show their appreciation, offer discounts, offer buy one, get ones. They offer rewards programs through their Red Card program. So they try and be accommodating to eliminate the bargaining power, but then also just to show their appreciation to their buyers. Target has experienced some bargaining power with suppliers, but they really have a mutual agreement with most of their suppliers, especially because there's major suppliers that are bringing such prominent success to them recently are private label branded suppliers, which it's important for them to stay on good terms with them, but they're so new, and Target is giving those brands such a great platform to excel and expand that they're just in a good area right now with their bargaining power suppliers to where it's pretty low. The two main ones that affect Target mainly are the industry rivalry and the threat of new entrants. Threat of new entrants has a major effect on any business, and industry rivalries have a major effect on any business. But in this case, some of the new entrants that have had an effect on Target in the past 10 years is Amazon and Amazon's high level of e-commerce competition, and then Walmart just kind of expanding into international platforms and everything has really created such great competition to where Target's had to step up, and they've really proven themselves in their multi-year strategy that they've implemented. And then threat of substitutes. So Target being in the retail industry, there's so many products in the retail industry, therefore all the products that all the stores in the retail industry they're selling basically the same things, but it's just important for Target to show their differentiation within this area. So within the SWOT analysis, Target has many strengths, it has some weaknesses, there are many opportunities, and there are some threats as well. But some of Target's major strengths is just their wide variety of merchandise, their market presence is just one of their leading roles in their strength right now. The shopping experience is like no other in the industry, and then also their business with Starbucks has created such a great strength within their company. And then there are some weaknesses which include they are more expensive than some of their competitors. They have had some issues with customer security, and then they have also had little expansion internationally, which just kind of puts limits on their ability to grow as a company. Some opportunities, though, that Target has is their CVS partnership. Just with CVS recently buying their pharmacy, and then this just increasing the customer base because it brings others in who are CVS customers and CVS just loyalty programmers that are now being drawn into Targets, which just creates more of an opportunity for loyalty to increase with that. And then they also have an opportunity with their small store programs, which Target is putting smaller Targets into urban and smaller areas to try and increase and appeal to different groups of people. And then also expanding their private label brands. Target has expanded their private label brands so much recently that it's just really created such a popularity. It's created so much differentiation for them. And then some threats that they have faced, which is common for any business, is industry rivalry and competition. Some of their main competitors are Walmart, Kroger, Home Depot, Costco, which it's just important for Target to stay up to date on everything to compete well. And then customer preferences changing is always a threat, but that's just also important for Target to stay up to date, to do research, to evolve in ways they need to evolve in the coming future. And then economic downfall, which can be seen through the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm just going to expand on the strengths. The partnership with Starbucks, like I said, it brings new people in. It brings coffee lovers in, and then coffee and shopper lovers in, and then even just gives people who are there to just purchase a coffee the opportunity to come in and see something that may catch their eye. And then the wide range of merchandise ranges from grocery, designer clothing, accessories, electronics, musical instruments. I mean, it's just such a great opportunity for Target and strength that they have such a wide variety of merchandise. And then customer shopping experience, they've gone above and beyond with just the upscale and cleanly atmosphere, and it's just so appealing and has created such a great reputation for Target. And then their market presence, they have stores located in 49 of the 50 states within the US. The weaknesses, they are more expensive, like I said, than their competitors, which they just overcome that by providing discounts, and then also providing just such quality products. Their customer data security, they had an issue in 2014 to where a lot of customer credit information and accounts were hacked, and that just really put a damper on the reputation that they've had to build back up upon. But they're working more towards regaining reputation credit through the new things that they're implementing. A small presence internationally, they really have no lead in an international presence. It was all due. They tried to expand into Canada in 2011, which it just was not successful. But they have recently made changes and notions to ship internationally. Like I said, with their opportunities, they have a great opportunity with the CVS pharmacy within their stores, the small store locations, and the expansion of the private label brands, just like I've spoken about before. And then threats, competing competitors, vulnerable to economic downfall, just as I said, with even speaking about their external issues within the pestle analysis, that the COVID-19 has really created a strain on their economical issues, and just put an economic threat on just their company as a whole. And then changing customer preferences, which just has to be monitored by research and collected information to be up to date on trends. As one can see, the three listed here, the private label brands, upscale, clean, and atmosphere, and strong U.S. presence, are three of Target's main leading characteristics that are just give Target such a name that they have right now. And the private label brands, the upscale and clean atmosphere, the strong U.S. presence, they're all very valuable. Not all are rare. Private label brands, they have a rarity to them, but they are imitatable, which makes them not as rare, but just gives Target more of a differentiation rather than the rarity of things. But they are organized in their private label brands. They are organized in their upscale and clean atmosphere. That's one of the main reasons that keeps them so clean and upscale, is their organization with everything, and how they have just promoted such great customer service and customer experience within their company. They have a strong U.S. presence, and it's just evident in their success. So within their functional level strategy, Target has a target market of an average age of 40, and then young adults who are interested in purchasing and shopping in retail stores. And it is stated that 80% of Target are men who are free males, and then 43% are housewives, which can also be seen in the 43% of people who shop are involved in family life. And the brands are upmarket families as well, so that can be seen in the middle class, upper middle, and then upper class. And their remodeling and e-commerce has really boosted their marketing because they've been promoting their remodeling and intriguing customers through the remodeling, because it just shows that they're new and they've got new private label brands and they're just appealing to the trends and they're modernizing. And then this is also seen in their e-commerce because they've revamped their e-commerce competitive factor to where they're offering apps, curbside pickup, through doing all these things online, and then same day delivery, which just increases their competition, their competitive nature with their competition. And they're marketing through their e-commerce also by taking a competitive advantage in being able to promote all the remodeling through social accounts and social settings. And then their products and product production ranges from food, beverage, like I said, musical instruments, sporting goods, personal care, clothing, men's, women's, children, babies, essentials, kitchen and dining, toys, electronics. So they have such a wide variety of products. And then with their business level strategy, they've really taken a step in differentiation because the retail market is so important and so competitive because of it being so broad, that it's important to stand out in positive ways. And Target has really differentiated itself by targeting its major consumers through upmarket families, young singles, and the middle, upper middle class, and upper class. And the way they differentiate is by associating itself with the finer things. They are more expensive, but they overcome this, like I said, by just offering such high quality products, which is the way that they're especially different from Walmart, with especially Walmart's clothing and Target's clothing. They have product features. They focus on the timing of their products, which they base that off of consumer marketing, and they just really take into consideration the timing of their products too, to when they introduce new products, who's interested in things, what the trends are, and all that type of stuff. And they have great product reputation, like I said, because of their products being so high quality and reliable. And this has created so much loyalty with Target and their customers. Within their corporate level strategies, they have created diversification, and that is important. And it's important to utilize this by them operating in multiple industries, which includes food, clothing, home living, outdoor living, and furniture, and etc. I mean, that just really creates such a great diversification for them. And they announced their multi-year strategy, which was expanding into fulfilling these options, and enhancing team performance was also involved in the multi-level strategy, along with the remodeling was involved in the multi-level strategy. But enhancing their team performance by creating, which was also creating diversification, was done because Target wants their team members to want success for the corporation just as badly as the corporate officials do. So they've increased their minimum wage from $12 in 2018 and plan to increase their minimum wage to $15 in the 2020 year, which is the current year. And then their product, Target is, like I said, they've remodeled everything. They've remodeled the way their products are displayed. They've included more brands, private label brands, which just puts a whole revamp on their products, which just intrigues people. And it's important because not all of Target's products are essential, and so it's very important for their products to catch the appeal of the essential and the non-essential shopper. And then their vertical scope can be seen through the reimaging of their own brand portfolio, which is seen through their private label brands and their brands that they've created within their corporation. So in 2018, Target introduced Universal Thread, and then that led into the introduction into Opal House, which is home decor, and Threshold, which is also home decor. And these created such a positive impact on Target that Target plans on introducing so much more private label brands and branded things that increase the popularity, increase the expansion of Target into their different markets. And then also with their own brands, they're creating such individuality and originality through their brands such as Simply Balances, Archer Farms, and they also have a meat brand called Sutton and Dodge. So this just kind of like gives Target the ability to compete through individuality. And then their geographic scope, like I said, they don't have any major international gain and international presence, but they have recently changed into shipping to different countries, which that is important, and that can lead into later on international expansion. So with the financials, it is evident that some of Walmart, which is one of Target's major competitors, has a higher level and higher ratio numbers in certain areas, but one area that Target has competed very well is their profitability. So our Target's ROA, their ROCE, and their ROIC are all greater than Walmart's, and that's because even though Target does not have as much of a wider platform and as great of a customer base as Walmart does, they do have higher prices, but because of their prices and because of their quality they offer, they're attracting people to where they're receiving more in net income and return on investments and return on total assets. So then, like I said, their net income has constantly been increasing, which is so great in looking to expand and excel. And one thing that was interesting about Target is that they don't have any days sales outstanding, and that's all due because Target doesn't have any value in their accounts receivable. But the main thing is Target's operating expense, which their increase in operating expense means that there was an increase in net income, which shows that Target is able to expand, is expanding, and is able to just compete by evolving as a company. So the way Target does their corporate governance is by 3 internal governance mechanisms, which is ownership concentration, board of directors, and executive compensation. So Target really doesn't have a big level of ownership concentration, but their main comes from institutional buyers owning block holders instead of individual owners, which can be an issue sometimes. But I mean, overall, you want people to have shares, you want people to buy your stock, but it can create kind of a difficult situation if larger institutionals are buying most of the stock, because it can create activism. But with activism, it can limit the corporate decisions in diversification and innovations, but then it can also discipline managers and promote shareholder interest. Then with the board of directors, these members are insiders, outsiders, and then related outsiders. And the board of directors are expected to come in and show their expertise and their insights on things. And the board of directors are very important to these small shareholders because they speak on their behalf. And one way that Target is benefited in their board of directors is that their CEO, Brian Cornell, is actually also their chairman of the board. And so this just kind of shows the shareholders that he's very relational, and then also gives them kind of more of a prompt to buy stock and have shares, because it shows that someone who is directly involved in the corporate life is also relaying that directly into the board of directors. So it's like he has interest in both areas, and he is able to give insight in both areas. And then the executive compensation is just how Target determines who gets paid what, especially in executive positions. Like for instance, on this chart, shows that Target CEO gets about 10 grand per hour, and that's just all determined by the amount of responsibility people in executive positions and in higher authority positions have, and how important their position is, and just to promote them to work in just kind of respect to also personally wanting the company to do well. Then some material issues. Target has been involved in some workforce unionization, but in saying that, Target is one of the largest non-union employers in the country. So they don't involve themselves at all in any unions, but they have come in contact with some issues. So in 2011 was the first time they faced some issues, and but that was immediately shut down, so it really didn't have any major effect. But then in 2015 was the first time in history that Target had allowed a union, which they had no reason not to, but prior to this they had been making their deal with CVS, and this was when CVS bought out Target's pharmacy, and so the pharmacists who were involved in this union got what they wanted about the union, but with CVS buying the pharmacy, the pharmacists now end up working for CVS, so it really doesn't affect Target anymore, so that really didn't last very long. And then another one in 2018, which was one of the major ones, which involved about 1,200 employees in New York. Target was being accused of doing things that they said they didn't do, such as not promoting their employees to excel and continue evolving over time, and they ended up having to approve the union, but it hasn't really taken major effect on the whole corporate life, just mainly the union is in place in New York. But then another issue that they've had is they've had to have a major stock recovery, and this happened in 2017 when their stock plummeted, but it was kind of an effect of multiple things. First, it started with the failed expansion into Canada, and then in 2014, and then in 2015 they had to shut down all the stores in Canada, which was a major loss of money. And then following that, in 2016 is when the issue of when they changed their bathroom policy, and this was all due to them saying that they are allowing transgenders to choose which bathroom they would like to use within each franchise store. But many people had a lot of issues with this, and it ended up being 1.4 billion people boycotted Target, which was just a major fall in their stock, and just was one of the ultimate major issues why the stock plummeted so much in 2017. But they're slowly regaining that back, especially with the multi-year strategy implemented. The next one is the e-commerce competition. Amazon has made such drastic competitive heights in the last 10 years to where Target has had to step up in their e-commerce position, which Target has. But in 2017 people were laughing at Target because of their stock plummeting, and Target had to adopt a new strategy, because if they didn't, they would have lost so much customers and lost so much height in their reputation, even more so because they weren't being able to compete in the e-commerce world very well. So with their whole multi-year strategy was a revamp in their e-commerce also, which was a $7 billion turnaround, but thus far it's been so successful, especially as noted before, in the raised net income over the years. And the global pandemic is the most recent one, which there's not much economic, also factual information stated yet because everything's so recent, but it's going to put an economic strain on Target because they're having to rely on their e-commerce presence more so now. But I mean, it's helpful that they just revamped it, but that just takes a toll on the amount of sales in store and e-commerce because they're having to rely so much in the e-commerce world. And then some recommendations. The first is to expand internationally. Target needs to expand. They need to reach new heights. They're just hindering themselves as a company if they don't expand. And the reasons to do this is because they've already made efforts in going towards shipping internationally, and that's just a great start to what could come out of international expansion. Then they also have this new just style and trends and just whole revamp of their remodeling in stores and online, and then also they have so many private label brands, which is shows Target's differentiation and individuality, and it could be so appealing to multiple people, especially when you can't get those brands anywhere else. But one way to start expanding is by using the online platform, and then focusing towards certain companies, which the three major ones are Canada, the United Kingdom, and then Japan. And then once you do this, you put warehouses in each one of those countries, and that just actually cuts shipping costs and cuts import and helps with importing goods. But it also creates more of a relational vibe because you actually have some type of your company on their soil. But then once that's happened, it'll be important for Target to create an online store for each one of these companies, still all under Target, but it just is an organized way for each one to always just make sure that products are up to stock, not worry about if there's more of demand in the US, just have an already set amount set aside for each one of the countries, and then that just creates more of an organized way. But then also it just shows that Target is invested in those countries, because one of the main issues with their failed expansion into Canada was that there was not enough supply, and that just created like the profitability went down and they didn't reach the profitability they desired to. And then once that is going on, then it is a great opportunity because of Target's already implementing of their small stores within the US, that they could put those small stores in the selected countries, which they could collect data to see which countries have more purchases than others, and then start putting small stores, and then eventually put larger stores in the selected countries, in the selected areas, instead of just doing this all drastically at one time, which is kind of how they did it with Canada, which the risk factor for this is great, and there is an opportunity for it to fail, but by going at a slower pace, they're eliminating other obstacles and other possible negative effects that could happen by taking it step by step in an organized manner. Then the next one is Target needs to advance in their advertisement. They have so many things they could promote right now that would increase customer database, and also just intrigue people who were not customers before, and just promote all of their new things that have been implemented in the company, like the revamp of their e-commerce, the remodeling, the new private label brands. One specifically, the way that they could do this is advertise their relationship to some celebrities. So in this instance, they have a relationship with Joanna Gaines, who is known for her show on HGTV, and she's highly popular with all different types of people, especially people in the home decor section. And also this is helpful because Target's home decor section is actually very popular right now. And so by encouraging and just promoting their involvement with Joanna Gaines, Joanna could be promoted on their social platforms. She could have blogs she posts about why she chose Target, what she's doing, what she's planning, also doing video logs of her showing the way things are being manufactured and what's coming soon, just really enhancing the just great opportunities they have with their private label brands. And then through the e-commerce, they can promote their organization and the revamp of their online store, and also just promote the accessibility of everything through social media platforms, which is very important. And this doesn't cost that much because a lot of social media applications and everything don't even cost anything. So the risk for this is not that high. I mean, there's always a risk with the loss of money that they're promoting some product that actually isn't that popular to some people, but there's more gain than loss in this situation. And it just really, they have so many reasons to prompt more advertisement that it's just something really needed to increase customer interest. And then the final one is they have an opportunity to enter a new market. So like I said, their home decor, home living area is highly popular right now, and they have an opportunity to enter a new market in the gardening section within the home improvement market. So two of their top competitors are Home Depot and Walmart, and they both include a gardening section which just has fresh and plants and flowers and fresh produce available for growing and gardening and just involving the outdoor environment along with the indoor environment. And for Target to be able to go into this market would just increase their evolution of their company, and then also be able to compete with their two highest competitors at a higher level. So one reason why Target would be able to do this now is that by their remodeling, especially in the grocery section and their food sections being more based towards organics, they could promote their organic plant life, organic growing vegetables and fruits, and just organic everything, and promoting outdoor living, especially with like gardening and flowers and getting outdoors and everything. And then also they could involve their community, like each franchise could involve their community in their gardening sections by having homegrown and community grown things, and which could really just boost the community and boost the relationship with the franchise stores in each community. So how they could do this is they could start small also. They could just offer seasonal plants, flowers, vegetables in the front of the stores, just as some of their competitors also do, like Kroger, Walmart, and Home Depot also do. And they, for instance, like Christmas trees or ferns or sunflowers. So that, like, with all of them being seasonal, this could catch the attention and go at a smaller pace and see how many people are attracted to each seasonal plant and flower and vegetable. And then once this is proven successful, after seeing how successful it's been over a period of time, for instance 2 years, they could take information to manufacture additional gardening sections on standalone Targets. So not all Targets are standalone. Some are within shopping malls and strip malls, to where this is also taking a small step in increasing this new market entrance and adding them on to standalone Targets, and then seeing how well that does. And then once it's proven to be successful, that Target could add on gardening sections to their Targets in their strip mall locations and shopping mall locations, which this would just be more complicated because of the smaller limited amount of space, and this would just require a more creative way of manufacturing this section to the store. But the plan to enter the market is a higher risk because it is entering the market, but it's mainly based off of customer preference. So if Target just really goes out of their way and trying to be creative and offer plants and flowers, then gardening tools that not everyone, and especially not their other competitors, offer, then this could be very successful to them and just really give them a boost in evolving as a company, especially into the new market area, and just gaining a higher customer base and appealing to other people and their desires and involving themselves in their community. And these are my references. Thank you for your time, and stay safe.